Good morning, welcome to Ag Talking to Raw, where I talk raw about agriculture and other things that are on my mind. How y'all doing today? So today, I'm getting a little frustrated with some things. Not terribly frustrated, but just a little bit frustrated. I got a lot of work that needs to get done, and it just seems like every time I start something, something else interrupts me, or the weather. You know how the weather is. The weather just interrupts me, and what do you get out of that? Excuse me, I'm just drinking this coffee, and it's giving me the hiccup pups, you know. And I need a little bit extra light, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. Can I do this? I can't do this because that won't work. So anyway, whatever. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. What's frustrating me is a couple of things. See, I ordered my seed corn back in December. There was a special on the varieties that I chose, and I ordered it. And I ordered enough to do 320 acres of corn with the idea that I would expand up to 400 if I had to. I don't know if I'm going to do 400 acres of corn. I could do 400 acres of corn, but 320 acres of corn I think would be more than a fair amount for me to deal with at this time. The problem is that the seed is available without any problem, but the chemicals are a problem. And I don't. Oh Jesus, Pete kid, he gets down there and he tortures his grandmother. But anyways, his Lola. So anyways, the chemicals. Thank you. It just went out of night mode. Apparently, at 7:03 in the morning, it goes out of nighttime mode, and it drank its cup of coffee and brightened its day. So anyway, last year I used a chemical, and I use generics. There's a lot of people that don't use generics. There's a lot of people that do use generics. There's a lot of people that don't shop around for different prices, and there's a lot of people that do shop around for different prices and places to get it from. I think FBN is a big one for generic pricing or good pricing on. God, that sounded like somebody crashed. I don't hear any crying, so he's okay. Yeah, he's okay. A lot FBN, I think you can get either generics or regular name brand stuff. Now, if you're buying name brand like glyphosate or sulfosate or let's say 2,4-D, obviously you can get all kinds of name brand products that work just as good as the generic counterpart or the generic counterpart. Most of these chemicals are made outside of the country. Anyway, I don't think there's much of anything made in the United States. Somebody email me or leave a comment below if there's if you know of any chemical companies that are producing a chemical here in the United States anymore, because it's just cheaper to do it elsewhere. Israel is a big producer. Germany, big producer. What's the other one? There's just a lot of big producers of different chemicals that are outside of the United States. So if you're buying either the name brand or the generic, doesn't matter. It's coming in on a boat. Now, if you didn't know, there's a bunch of boats out in the ocean right now, and they can't get offloaded due to lack of staff. The lack of staff at the ports. Yep. And there's some other reasons as well. We don't need to get into those, but for the most part, they're just not getting offloaded. So I placed my order for seed corn, and I placed my order for the herbicide, and I still don't have it. It is April 17th, right? I've got about 15 days before I'm really going to want to be getting into the corn, really into the corn. I don't have what do you call it? I don't have my chemicals. I don't even have my seed. So when I ordered this, normally the seed and the chemicals will come in a truck, and I pay the truck driver because this company, that's the way they've always done it, COD. I never had to send my check to Ohio or Illinois, where I think it was Illinois. Hey, babe, was that Illinois or was that Pennsylvania that you sent that check to? She's not going to answer. So anyway, wherever it went, I didn't have to do that. I always just handed it to the driver. Well, I got a letter in the mail, and it stated that before we ship this stuff, you have to have a check sent to us. And I was like, what? If I'd have knew that, I'd have figured something out. I'd have got him a check January, February. And I'd have my products. So anyhow, I had my father call the representative where we purchased our stuff, and I was like, what do we need to do to get this stuff delivered here? And he says, well, it's really hard for us to get these generic herbicides right now because they're just not coming in. He says, but if you send the check, we'll see to it that you get it. I'm like, send the check? Well, I always just give it to the driver. Nope, you need to send us the check. The money's in the account, then it goes out. Okay, not really a problem. So I called, Teresa filled out the check, mailed it. Dad called the representative because he likes, him and Art get along really well. And so do I. It's just I got other things to do. And my dad is, he's pretty much semi-retired, I'd say. He does his thing and I do mine and he helps me. And that's one of the things that he does. He gets on the phone. He likes to talk to old farmers and that's what he does. So it's good. And this guy's a generic chemical salesman and seed salesman. So we're all good there. Told him, he says, yeah, it's in the mail. He says, okay, I'll just tell them that I've got the check and they'll ship it. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I hope it gets here on time. I've got 2,4-D that was ordered. I can't. I'm spraying hay now with fertilizer. About in 2016, we were done right now putting fertilizer on hay. And right now, it is just a swamp out there. It's cold. It's miserable. It's dreary. We don't have any warm weather yet. There's only been like 2 or 3 days. I got up to 71, 70, something like that. And now yesterday it was 38 degrees. I see people slamming corn in the ground. And, buddy, I just don't see, in my area, I see people down at the mushroom barn. I saw a drill going, or a corn planter going. It was a corn planter. It wasn't a grain drill. And they're putting corn in the ground. And I was like, holy smokes, 38 degrees. The night before last, when I was moving the 6210R out of the shop, I had to change fuel line, which you'll see on YouTube a little later today. I was like, what the heck is going on here? These guys are putting corn in the ground, and there's snow falling when I'm moving the tractor. You could just see a little bit of ice coming into the water. It was wet, slushy rain. So if the weather's like that, you're better off leaving that seed in the bag or bulk bin or whatever you want to call it. But that's not my choice. I'm somewhere between the crazies and the lazies. Last year I was a little bit on the crazy side. Just a little on the crazy side, but there were some guys that had soybeans in the ground at that time. I was planting corn and they were planting beans, so I wasn't too insane. But yeah, crazies and the lazies. So I don't want to be into the end of June planting corn because I won't even be here. I'll be down baling straw. And the corn will be knee high or chest high or whatever high by that point. When I got back last year, it was the second week of July, it was all tasseled out. So I think I planted that corn on May 5th. But this year is going to be a little bit of a different story because we have to... I got to get that compost spread. There's a lot of compost that has to get spread, but I am going to spray and kill the ground that needs to have corn put into it this year. So that has to happen. It can't happen today because it's raining and it's a wet farm. But I do have to drain. There's a swamp down there that has to be drained out, so I got to deal with that. It's not a swamp. It's a wet spot there. It was a swale, and the former farmer on that property, he came in with his disc harrow, and he actually made a swale where the drain side was, and I just got to go down to a skid steer and dig out that drainage and drain that water out of there so that we can utilize this 40-acre, 50-acre field. It's a big field. It's a nice field, really nice field. So that's what I'll be up to in the next few days. But yeah, I'm hoping that we get this herbicide and seed corn in there. On other on other things, I'd like to see Andy Detweiler's corn. I'm sure it's up and growing. It has to be. But he planted a couple hundred acres of corn. Him and his brother and his father. I think his father did too. But they all planted a little bit a couple weeks ago, and I was a little concerned. I thought it was pretty early. I think it was the 5th. Today's the 17th. I think he planted on the 5th of April, which he said was a tick early. I'd agree, but I don't live in his state, so I don't know. Here in New Jersey, if I'd have put corn in on the 5th of April, it would be down in the ground shivering. The ground would shake because it's cold. It's too cold here, and so we can't deal with that. But yeah, I've seen a bunch of people out there doing stuff. A neighbor of mine, I don't know what he put in the ground. I didn't think he was going to put in oats. I don't know if it's oats or soybeans, but it's none of my business. But if it was soybeans, he would be classified as crazy for this area. But you never know. I'm hoping it's oats. I'd like to see oats grow. I like oats. I used to grow oats, and there's pictures. Oh, that kid is just a devil. I like to see oats in the field. Good oats. And if you do plant oats, don't plant oats after corn. The herbicide that's used in corn, which pretty much is atrazine, most everybody uses atrazine to some capacity or not. I mean, there's other chemistries, but that's a grass. There is a grass herbicide that you use in corn that doesn't bother corn, but oats are very, very sensitive to it. Atrazine is one. I'm sure there's other modes of action that work in the soil and carry over to the next spring that normally would not bother anything other than oats. So if you plant oats after corn, it's always a problem. Put oats in after soybeans, especially if you use beans that are Roundup or Liberty Link. If you use those types of herbicides on your soybeans and you plant oats after that, buddy, you're gonna have some nice oats. I've combined 100 bushel oats. It's nice. It's nice when you get into that. I mean, that stuff, I think we had 111 bushels off of that. It was nuts. I mean, 3 bushel of oats to the acre. 3 bushel? I think we did 3.5 bushels of oats to the acre. This has been a long time ago, and I wish I had my pictures here because I have them in there, these photographs. And boy, I'll tell you, you want to talk about beautiful, beautiful white oats. The variety was noble. And I saved them that year. What we had done was we had killed off, there were soybeans on there. And then that spring, I planted the oats because I had a market for them. And I planted these oats in the spring, and my good God, it was just like this beautiful wave. You know, the golden waves of grain in our national anthem. Well, that was referring to wheat, but this was oats. And when I combined them, they fed through that TR70 combine just like a dream. And sold them for over $5 a bushel. The guy came in and he's like, wow, they're really nice oats. Well, they are nice oats, and this is what I want. And he was like, well, if you deliver them, I'll pay you that much for them. So I filled up 2 tanks. I filled up his grain tanks with them. I didn't have a lot, I had like 30 acres of these oats. And the oat straw that came off of those, we were milking cows at the time, but, that went into the bedding for the cows, and it was just really nice. But oats we used to grow a lot more oats in this area, and now there's not so much. Not so much. Timmy Cornpecker's planting oats. And he only grew corn, but I don't know if he put it in after corn or what he's doing or where he's doing it. But if he used atrazine or anything else like Bicep, Dual, Bicep is Dual and atrazine, I think. So if you're using that stuff, it's just not going to do well. I just never had any luck with it because it just doesn't do well. It just hurts them. They'll grow. They won't produce. It'll be like really sparse. They don't stool out and get a nice big grain head. But whatever. That's neither here nor there. If you grow oats still, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about growing oats. I had guys that are growing wheat after corn in North Carolina, and they claim that wheat after corn does better than wheat after soybeans. And that here we have afla and mica toxin. If you do that, and because wheat isn't generally bothered by the herbicide from corn. It's not as sensitive as oats. But they seem to say down there that it works better behind corn. Well, it could be that there's more fertilizer left behind after the corn, but they still say that there's no toxins in it. So, and that's a job that's coming up pretty quick. I mean, we're talking it's April 17th. By May 25th, we're gone. May 20th, May 25th, we're gone. We got to go. And my corn has to be planted. Everything has to be done by the end of May to do this job. And all that equipment has to get hauled down to North Carolina. And I need a little more information from my guys that are down there. Not the farmers, but the guys that are hiring us, because I was told that we would be moving around a little bit in a little different direction than what we had been going last year and the year before that, which is fine by me, because a couple of those farms that we dealt with were pathetic. It wasn't the farmer's fault. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. There's one farmer, and I think they were just farming for the insurance company, and I don't ever want to go onto that property again. But there was a whole bunch of small little fields, and I just couldn't stand it. It was like, okay, so you go here, and then I got to move the material 2 miles down the road. And you do that in the middle of the night, all night long. It gets tiring, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. Now, my wife is about to pop out of that door, and when she does, I'm going to ask her where she sent that check for that herbicide and seed. Oh, she sent it. It was Legacy Ag is where it was. Legacy Ag is who I bought it from. Asawa! She's not answering. She's a little mad at me. It's okay. She can be mad at me. It makes things fun. Asawa! Nope. What's this? Tractor. Asawa? Yeah. Where did you send that check for that chemical? Illinois. Okay. So it went to Illinois. There you go. Question answered. I thought it was Pennsylvania, but that's where my guy is, and I didn't think it went to him, but Illinois is where it went. Illinois. Right, Will? God bless you. Come on, get up here. Oh, yeah, you got your little... He's got his Sharknado shirt on, right? His Sharknado jammies on? So what do you like? You like tractors?
Okay.
Okay. You like tractors? Daddy likes tractors too. Look, you're getting so big. Your head is like the size of mine. Mine's smaller. Do you have cheeks? Fish lips. Bloop, 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 bloop. Like fish lips? Oh, cheeks. My goodness, I think you got your cute little cheeks. My goodness. You're the devil, Chucky. You look like Chucky? Chucky the doll? Does Daddy pick on you? Who's that?
We're done with that, right? Mommy.
That is Mommy. Go get her. Hold on tight.
Mama, sit there. Get your milk.
Yeah, where is your milk? Anyhow, enough of this. What else should we talk about? Broken down tractors? Broken down tractors in Sussex County, New Jersey. That was fun, wasn't it?
I wasn't there. I don't know.
She wasn't there, but it was the tractor that she drives that broke. Okay, so Tim and Cody are coming down from Montgomery, New York. Montgomery, New York, a little bit north of Montgomery. No, a little south of Montgomery, north of Goshen, in between there. Only about a stone's throw from Montgomery. It was Montgomery. Anyways, coming down from there, they get just north of Newton, New Jersey on God knows what route. I think that's 206?
Bobby?
206 up there, right? I believe it was 206. I'm not 100% sure. Don't really care. I just know how to go, and that's it. So they're coming down, and all of a sudden, Tim hears a clunking in the tractor. Clunk, 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 and it's shimmying. It's like, uh-oh. So he gets on the radio and says, "Hey, Cody, this tractor just started clunking and shimmying." He's like, "Slow down. Get off the side of the road. The bolt on the weights on the wheels broke." It happened to him once before. He goes, ka-clunk, ka-clunk, ka-clunk. Well, there's 3 bolts 3 bolts. Unless you're German, then it's this.
Yeah.
But it was 3 bolts in a that hold that 2,000 pound weight on. A little over 2,000 pounds. It's pretty friggin' heavy. It's 1,000 kilogram weight. There's 2 of them in there. 22. It's a metric ton. 2,200 pounds. There's 3 stupid metric bolts, the equivalent of 3/4 inches. So I was like, okay, what happened? He says, well, 1 bolt, there's a missing nut. I'm like, good, get a nut on it. He's like, we don't have any tools that'll fit in there. I was like, are you going to make me come up there? He's like, yeah. So it's an hour and 40 minutes for me to go that far by truck. So I'm like, okay, here we go. So I grabbed some people call it ready rod. I call it threaded rod, and it was 3/4 inch threaded rod. So I grabbed the little handheld grinder, the battery operated DeWalt. Grab that, ready rod. I have nuts, 3/4 inch nuts, and I take off. Get up there. I had the impact guns, obviously, and I had that 1-inch impact gun. Thank God for that thing, because this was a bit of a bitch to get that thing on there. So if you don't know what those wheel weights are held on by, there's cast wedges on the wheel itself that holds the tire on, the casting for the tire. And then there's these receiving V-notch wedges, whereas the weight has the male side of, and they fit in there. So when you draw that up tight, it locks in and it can't move, can't go anywhere. And it takes the weight off the bolts. Well, when the nut fell off the 1 bolt, it caused a little wiggle in that weight as it's going down the road 31 miles an hour. And that weight wiggle broke the other bolt. And then it was gone like that, and that was causing the clunking and the shimmying. Now, you only get a short distance before the other bolt breaks off. It's not long, and you're in trouble. And if that other bolt breaks off, you've got a 2,200 pound cast iron weight that's on that thing. That is now onto the casting for the axle of the tractor. Normally, it breaks the valve stem off if there's an inside valve stem on that one, which I don't believe there is on that tractor. But there's a hole with a little nub, and all it would have to do is shear that sucker, and then you've got a problem because it lets all the air out of the tire. Now not only do you have a 2,000 pound, and ask me how I know this. It happened to the 8120. It's a pain in the ass, these things. So breaks the valve stem off, lets the air out of the tire, and then you've got a 2,200 pound weight that you have to lift up and get back into position to put new bolts in, which I don't have. All I have is this ready rod. So I told them, just pull over to the side of the road. They found a really nice spot to pull over. And we did have 3 people stop by to see me. I thought it was pretty cool. And, they're like, oh my God, it's One Lonely Farmer. A guy, his last name was Coleman. Mr. Coleman, I'm sorry if I was rude when you pulled up next to me, but when you're in a situation where it's not ideal, and you've got a broken down tractor and there's cars going like 1,000,000 miles an hour, and you're parked in the middle of the road, I don't know. Thanks for stopping, though. I really appreciate it, and it would have been nicer if I could have stayed and talked a little while. And then there was Mr. Howe, Hough. He's a farmer up there, right up the road on the left-hand side, headed north. He stopped by. I had a really nice time talking with him as I was working with the boys, getting that thing back together. And I'm going to stop up and see him if he's watching this. I'm going to stop up and see him when I go up to count. If he's home. I don't know if he's going to be home or not, but I'll pull in there. I know exactly where he's at. Excuse me. He milked cows until 2018 is what he told me. And he asked me, he says, are you related to Beth Pandy by any chance? I was like, well, yeah, sure. That's my Aunt Beth. I was in the house this morning, or this afternoon. Yeah, it was this morning, and she was cooking turkey. And, he's like, oh, yeah, she used to inspect when we shipped the Tuscan dairies. I was like, yep, she was a state milk inspector. That's what she did. State and federal milk inspector for the state of New Jersey, and she was a federal ratings officer as well. So she was able to do that. She worked there at the state of New Jersey for right out of college. In 1976, she got out of college and worked right on up until about 10 years ago. So 10 years ago was 2011. The 2012 election for the state, when just before John Corzine was ousted by Chris Christie, she retired because they were going to reduce her pension that she had worked for, I don't know, 30 some years to put into, and they were going to reduce her pension. So she's like, well, I've got the years, I've got the age, and now I'm going to retire. And she did. So she got her full benefits that she had worked so hard for, and now she's retired and drives me semi-nuts. But that's okay. I love my Aunt Beth. She's a good girl. She took really good care of my grandmother when she was really sick, and she just is a sweet woman. Tough, though. Would you say Aunt Beth is pretty tough? Wouldn't you say Aunt Beth is pretty tough?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's a tough gal. Good girl, though. She was the one that lost her husband in an airplane crash, my Uncle Paul. And I've talked very fondly of my Uncle Paul over the years. If you don't know that, he was flying his sixth-place Cherokee Lance, Piper Cherokee Lance, to have some work done to it on a radio that was not functioning correctly, that he had just paid like 30 grand to have this thing fixed all up and ready to fly anywhere in the country or world, this crazy thing. And I used to fly with him in that airplane. I used to fly the airplane. I had taken it off the runway, flew it around. We did approaches, touch and goes I did, and it was fun. And I wasn't supposed to do that, but we survived, and it was fun. And I could probably jump in that airplane if it wasn't a wreck. I could jump in a Cherokee Lance today, yell clear prop, fire it up, taxi it, take off, and enjoy some time in the air, bring it in, and land it all without a license. I should actually go get my pilot's license because I really like to fly. But my aunt and my father are like, never again will I ever get into a small plane. And if I did that, they would call me a stupid jackass because of what happened to Paul. Well, small airplanes do crash, and people die in them all the time. And, I don't know. Do I need to fly? You know what I would really like to do? I would like to get my pilot's license, and then when we go to the Philippines, I would like to rent an airplane. Yes, you can rent an airplane in the Philippines. It's Clark Air Force Base, Clark Field, or Clark, Luzon, Philippines. You can rent a Cessna or even a Piper, or probably some Russian airplane. I don't know. I saw some Pipers, up there, and fly over Mount Pinatubo and just fly around. I think it would be really cool to fly around in another country. Fly over rice fields, buzz the carabao in the field. Crazy American pilot. Probably getting some kind of Philippine FAA troubles. But anyways, that's just what happens there. So the third person that stopped, he pulled up alongside of me, looked at me, and his jaw dropped like, huh? And he sat there for like 20 seconds before I said, hey, how you doing? I'm okay. Good. How are you? I'm like, doing just peachy. Living the dream, and off he went. It was cool. So, but whatever. That's life. Anyhow, with that being said, I got 30 minutes into this thing. Thanks for watching. I don't know. Chemicals this year are pretty tough to get to me, and that's just the way it is. And I do have corn herbicide left over from last year. I got about 40 acres worth, and we'll be good. So anyways, have a nice day.